5pmnation.com.
All right, going to fade that out quick. Might be time to reboot this computer. It's weird because Peter White and I were just talking about that yesterday after the show, or maybe it was before the show. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's Matt Connarton Unleashed. Maybe I just shouldn't have played that Alex Jones Goblin song. Maybe the Deep State is... Well, actually, the Deep State wouldn't like Alex Jones, right? Because doesn't Alex Jones fight against the Deep State? I don't know. I don't know how that all works. Anyway, welcome, everybody. It's that time again. Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon. We are live on this Wednesday afternoon, beautiful spring day out, reasonably warm. It is March 27th, 2019. And, of course, we are live on WMNH 95.3, also Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. You can also stream the show at WMNHradio.org from anywhere. And don't forget on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page, where you can opine and participate there, too. Or you can give us a call. Would love to hear your dulcet tones. 603-250-6007 is the number. 603-250-6007. Feel free to ring me up if you have anything in the next couple of hours. We will be joined by, he told me how to say his name. I want to make sure I get it right. Dr. Dheeraj Raina will be joining us in the last half hour of the show today in the 5:30 p.m. block. So really looking forward to speaking with him, and you'll learn more about that. And let's see, yesterday, by the way, we had a fun time. If you missed yesterday's show, I definitely recommend checking it out. You know, we do archive all the shows at WMNHradio.org. And yesterday we had on Peter White for the full 2 hours, and Jeff Scumpy Lorenz was here as well. Very interesting. We had a couple of calls. People had some things to say to Peter. Q, our friend Q, called in yesterday and was kind of got into it with Peter White a little bit. You know, Q, of course, working deep and strong in the deep state. Trying to, I guess he's not part of the deep state, but he's trying to fight the deep state from within the deep state. I'm still a little bit confused, but I think he said now that the Mueller probe has been completed. Of course, we got to see the report, and hopefully we get to. But now that the Mueller probe has been completed, I think Q feels that his work is done, so he can now, I suppose, extricate himself from the deep state and go back to having a normal life. So also, there's another gentleman too who called and said that apparently, I did not realize this, but Peter White resembles a Mr. Sam Cedar, and you know the resemblance. I don't want to say it's uncanny, but they could be brothers. If you're not familiar with Sam Cedar, he hosts a show on that you can find online. It's on YouTube called The Majority Report. He used to be, years ago, he was a radio host. If you remember the liberal talk radio network, Air America, that goes back something like, I think early 2000s. That was a long time ago. But, yeah, it didn't quite make it. You know, conservative political talk really kind of dominates as far as political talk radio. But they took a shot with Air America and just didn't work out. But so he was on there. He's also done some television and some movies and whatnot. But anyway, the point being, there's a black and white photo in particular where, yes, Peter really does look very much like Sam Cedar. I guess he would be Sam Cedar's younger brother. Although Sam Cedar actually looks younger. Sam Cedar, he's in his 50s, but he looks like he's like not even 40. He's just I don't know. He's got good skin or something. So, but yes, I do agree. Peter White. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, this hadn't even occurred to me yesterday. I've never seen. Speaking of conspiracies, because I opened with that Flatbush Zombies track there, a little hip hop for you, New World Order, and I played that song Goblins, that Alex Jones song. It does occur to me, I've never seen Sam Cedar and Peter White in the same room at the same time. I have not ever seen them together. Now, why is that? Why is that? And by the way, now that I'm thinking about it, when Peter White was here, he seemed unwilling to accept that he looks like Sam Cedar. Now, why is that? Why was he so unwilling to say, yeah, you're right, I do kind of look like him. Not a spitting image, but I look like perhaps an older brother or a younger brother or a first cousin or something. Why is that, Peter White? Why were you so resistant to acknowledging your resemblance to Sam Cedar? Very, very interesting. So, things that make you go, except, of course, in the song by CMC Music Factory, it's more like things that make you go, not things that make you go, But sometimes you have to give the a little extra emphasis, if you know what I mean. Let's see. So I had to reboot that other computer. So I'm back. I'm looking at my computer. I got to get back into the Facebook live chat. I had the Facebook live chat. Maybe that's what slowed down the computer and made it stutter like that. Maybe I should only have the Facebook, as I like to call it, or, the Twitter or the Google. I like to put the in front of things where they belong, of course. At the same time, I make a conscious effort not to put the in front of things where they don't belong. For example, a big pet peeve of mine growing up. Well, I know I'm rambling. I'm stalling for time while I get this computer stuff all situated. One of my big pet peeves when I was growing up was, one of my favorite bands was Talking Heads, but it used to annoy me to no end. Talk about a first world problem, right? It used to annoy me to no end when people would refer to them as the Talking Heads. It's not the Talking Heads, it's Talking Heads. It used to drive me crazy. So anyway, all kinds of fun stuff. So I tried not to put thes where they don't belong. Sometimes it's unavoidable. For example, when I was growing up, there was a band called The. Well, what do you do there, right? You can't leave out the, because if you leave out the, then the band is just the. So you have to include the, both of them. It's crazy, crazy stuff. Let's see. So I'm getting this back up. I want to play some. Maybe I should play something really quick while I kind of get resituated here, because I had to reboot this computer. Let's. I'll play something short just so I can kind of reset. This looks like it might be something fun. Maybe I'll play another fun song, just a quick 2-minute song while I get resituated here. What's this? Trump versus Talking Heads? Speaking of Talking Heads, that's really weird. Hang on. I got to say this, and this is not a joke. This is really strange. So I mentioned Talking Heads, the band Talking Heads, apropos of nothing other than my little anecdote there about, how I don't like it when people use a the where there shouldn't be a the, referring to them as the Talking Heads instead of Talking Heads. So I reopened the browser now that I've got this computer rebooted. And, I do enjoy the political song parodies, and political song parodies about Trump particularly tickle my fancy. But so I just opened up YouTube, and in the on the right hand side of the browser there, where it says up next, Trump versus Talking Heads, a mashup by a YouTuber named Swede Mason. Now, here's what's so weird about that, though. I was just talking about, I didn't type Talking Heads in to this computer for any reason on this browser, but that's the first thing that comes up when I open up YouTube after I was simply speaking of Talking Heads. Now, why would that happen? I do believe that that YouTube, or as I like to call it, the YouTube, because when speaking about things like browsers and different apps and things, I will happily put a the where it doesn't belong. Why is it that the YouTube seemed to just somehow know that I was just now speaking about Talking Heads? I'm not kidding. And by the way, for those who don't believe me, who think I'm just doing a bit, this is so weird. You know what I'm going to do? Live right here on the air. I've never done this before. I'm going to take a picture. I'm actually having a good hair day. Doesn't happen much. I'm going to take a picture of this just to prove it. That's the first thing that popped up. And I'm going to post it right now in real time to the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And you will see Like, I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up to be funny or to be not necessarily funny, but mildly amusing, or perhaps to be incredibly tedious, depending on your point of view. And it's not going to let me post it to the Matt Connarton Unleashed page. All right, well, I'll have to post it to my personal page. So go look at my personal page if you're on Facebook, if you don't believe me. Okay, here it is. And people who aren't listening to the show are going to see this post and wonder, what is he talking about? This makes no sense. Why is he posting that? But there you go. All right, so that proves it. Trump versus talking heads. I'm going to go ahead and play that. I hope there's no swears in it. If there are, I'll have to hit the dump button. But it's only 2 minutes long, and it'll give me a chance to kind of finish getting resituated here now that I've rebooted this computer. And it seems like fate, doesn't it? That, you know, I was just talking about talking heads and then something from talking heads. It really is very bizarre to me that happened. I must tell you, my friends, I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm not too freaked out, but I'm a little freaked out. Okay, here we go. I'm going to play this while I do some stuff here. This is Trump versus talking heads.
Living in a shotgun shack, and you may find yourself in another part of the world, and you may find yourself behind the wheel of a large automobile, and you may find yourself in a beautiful house with a beautiful wife, and you know, you may say to yourself, well, how did I get here? Ask yourself, what is that beautiful house? You may ask yourself, where does that highway go to? You may ask yourself, am I right? Am I wrong? And you may say to yourself, my God, what have I done? Same as it was. Same as it ever 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 was.
There you go. That was Trump versus Talking Heads by Swede Mason here on Matt Connarton Unleashed. And wow, that's a short song. I'm not quite done getting resituated, but that's okay. Close enough. My friends, I have something truly astonishing to share with you. And, you know, one of the interesting things about the time that we live in is, even though Donald John Trump is our president and has been our president for it feels like, what's it been, like 12, 15 years? I'm kidding, of course. No. It hasn't been that long, but it does seem like so much longer, doesn't it? It just seems like it's been decades, actually. No. But, well, you know why? I'm not trying to be funny. It's just that he's ubiquitous. We've always been aware of Trump. When I was a kid, I would see Trump on television and on the cover of magazines and so forth. So he's always been with us in some way. He's been a part of pop culture for a very long time, right? So even though Trump has been our president for a couple of years now, there is still a need among some people to look to the past. This is not necessarily unique to the Trump presidency, but I do think it's somewhat unique that here we are talking about 2020. Got all these candidates who've announced, all these Democrats. I think there's currently 172 Democrats running for president who've announced already. No. I've got it's actually 173. I just remembered somebody I'd forgotten. And then, of course, challenging Trump on the Republican side is former Massachusetts governor and former VP nominee for the Libertarians, Bill Weld. But here, actually, let's take this call before I finish this thought, because we have something very important to discuss, my friends, regarding the past. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
This is Eric.
Easy G, how are you, sir? Are you ready yet, Eric, to come and be the entertainment reporter on Matt Connarton Unleashed? It sounded to me
I almost did the other day.
Yes.
You heard the show on Monday?
I did, and it sounded like I asked Peter White.
Peter told me to hit the road.
Yes, I asked Peter White.
I almost took you my show to your show. Almost did it.
Yes, so close. Look, I'm going to
Don't let your door hit you on.
I'm going to sweeten the deal.
You ever hear that quote? What's the rush? Here's your hat.
What? Hear what quote? What?
What's the rush? Here's your hat.
I'm sorry, Eric. It sounds like you're speaking to me through a cement mixer. Say that one more time. What's the quote?
It's a quote. What's the rush? Here's your hat.
Oh, what's the rush? Here's your hat. Actually, Eric, no one has ever said that to me. I don't know if you know this about me, but I don't wear hats.
Oh, there's another one, too. What's the rush? Here's your jacket.
In the 80s, I was actually in that group, Men Without Hats. A lot of people don't know that about me. Under a previous identity, I was very, very famous.
Well, you might have also known that we're on the road to WrestleMania, and they announced another team going into the Hall of Fame, the Hart Foundation.
You can dance if you want to. Oh, sorry, I'm still stuck on that Men Without Hats thing.
But, of course, Jim the Anvil Neidhart is dead. So
he is dead,
I guess
yes.
Bret the Hitman Hart will have to talk. And, he didn't really get along with Vince McMahon because his brother died.
Well,
remember Owen Hart?
They've had their ups and downs, but, Eric, when I was a kid, I loved the Hart Foundation. I loved the Hart Foundation.
They definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but it's always going to be a kind of a crazy situation when Vince McMahon and Bret the Hitman Hart in the same building. I know his health hasn't been the best. I think he had a stroke a couple years ago.
And Bret Hart. Yeah, he did have a stroke.
I know Bret the Hitman Hart. He went to the Hall of Fame a couple years ago, but he wouldn't show up for WrestleMania because he just hates McMahon because his brother died. He blames him.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he got screwed out of the title when he left to go to WCW.
Yes, the Montreal Screwjob of 1997.
He was afraid that he'd bring the WWE belt over to WrestleMania. Over to WAW.
That's right. Those were exciting times.
But I think the major reason he doesn't like McMahon is because of that, what happened to his brother.
Yes, I agree, Eric. I agree.
I remember watching that back in the day when he used to watch it scrambled, and they didn't really care. United Cable. And I was saying to myself, oh, my God, the guy died, and yet the show must go on. And that was horrible.
And I do feel, Eric, and I wonder if you'll agree, that the Hart Foundation had some of the coolest music ever in wrestling.
Oh, definitely. When they went to the best wrestlers in the history, they should have gone to the Hall of Fame years ago.
Years ago, yeah. Well, Bret Hart is in the Hall of Fame, but yes, for them to go in as a tag team, I think is quite wonderful. I'm very excited. And Bret will now be a 2-time Hall of Famer.
Well, there you go.
Yes, yes. So what is your status with the morning show, Eric?
What?
What is your status with the morning show?
Oh, I'm still on there, but I took a couple of days off because I was off for 7 straight days. So.
Right. Because, Eric, I'm prepared.
Anyways, I got to go, so have a good rest of your show.
All right. Thank you, Eric. All right. Bye-bye. Eric Agnon leaves us. It's his loss having to leave so soon. I was about to say, Eric, I'm going to sweeten the deal even more. I will triple whatever Peter White is paying you and add 2 zeros to get you to come over and be the entertainment reporter on Matt Connarton Unleashed. I'm quite serious about this. Whoops. I didn't. Why is something else playing there? Okay, that was really weird. Okay, so my friends, getting back to this thing of looking to the past. There is a great deal of looking to the past in terms of the presidency in the current era in which we live. For example, I have noticed that in many instances, you know what? I should acknowledge folks here. Sorry, I know I'm taking the long way around here, but now that this is took a minute to get Facebook to reopen on my computer. I'm just going to use it on my computer, not the big computer here, because I think Facebook is what slows this other computer down and causes the issue. Bill Muckler is in there, says, hi, Matt. Heidi Hamer says, good sunny afternoon, Matt. Have a great show. Thank you, Heidi. Let's see. I saw Jenny in there. Christian Cunard. Let's see, Rhonda Ostrowitz-Favero. Still don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I hope so, Rhonda. Tony Petrillo, Chris Rose. A lot of folks listening. So thank you all. And there is Dr. Jeff Cassell just joined us. Hello, Jeff. So I have noticed, actually, Fred Bonig from the Daily Ripple and I have joked about this. There is a tendency to, well, you have this whataboutism, right, that goes on in modern political discourse where, you say something about somebody, and both liberals and conservatives do it, right? You say something about somebody that you don't like, and then somebody from the other side says, oh, well, what about such and such? So instead of debating you on whatever the thing is or the criticism that you have of the particular individual that you don't like, they just say, well, what about this other person? And to me, it's really pretty much the dumbest, least sophisticated way to discuss politics, right? But Fred and I have talked about how, very often if you're saying something critical of Trump or of the Republicans, the response will often be, well, what about Hillary's emails? Or what about Benghazi? And it's like, well, what does that have to do with anything that I'm talking about? But there is this tendency to look to the past. And it's still happening with Hillary Clinton. And now you've got Lindsey Graham saying, okay, well, now that the Mueller probe is over, we need to get to work investigating Hillary. Maybe we'll have our, 15th Benghazi investigation. Or we need to investigate Obama on whatever. So it's all about reaching back to the past. And then I see this. And this, my friends, is severe. These folks who do want to look to the past, they might be onto something, because there might be something far more severe going on here with some of our former leaders that I had never considered. And I'm being very, very serious about this. If this is true, this has to be dealt with, and it might explain some things, because according to my favorite website, and hopefully yours, rightwingwatch.org. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to this into the Facebook live chat, because I know some of you will want to peruse this later, because this is some heavy stuff that you're going to want to really be able to absorb and take in this information. I'm going to give you my opinions on it right now, but this is not to be taken lightly, my friends, if this is true. According to rightwingwatch.org, E.W. Jackson, who is a right-wing pastor and radio host, and he has a show called The Awakening. According to E.W. Jackson, Barack Obama needs an exorcism because he is demon-possessed. There you go. That gets a little bit of an air horn there. This is a big deal. I had no idea. Now, Barack Obama, for me, personally, I voted for him in 2008. I did not vote for him for a second term in 2012 because I also suspected, no, I'm kidding about that. I had no idea that he might be demon-possessed. I just wasn't happy about some things. But apparently the situation is far more severe than I ever could have imagined. It says here, right-wing pastor and radio host E.W. Jackson declared on his The Awakening program yesterday that Democratic leader... It's not just Barack Obama. Democratic leaders like Barack Obama need an exorcism because they are demon-possessed. I bet, that AOC, I'm telling you, the most powerful and influential politician in the history of the world, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think she might be in league with the devil. I don't know. I mean, she says these terribly evil things like wanting to save the planet and give people health care. I mean, she might be a true, not simply demon-possessed, but a full-on demon. Like actually all this stuff, wanting to, not have the planet overheat and everyone die, or, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that sounds pretty, because I think the end of the world is supposed to be a good thing, according to some folks, right? Let's see. I'm going to play this because this is really stunning to me. I mean, and I know I sound like I'm mocking this man, but I'm genuinely concerned because, I try to keep an open mind. And so I'm going to share this with you. And there's some audio here from his show. It's just a couple minutes long. But let's learn together. And like I always say in these instances, because I know some of you might think this is all a big joke, but what if he's right? What if he's right? So let's listen to this, not only with open minds, but as is the unofficial policy of the show, with open hearts.
We who are believers should put Obama, Hillary, Bill Clinton, AOC, Omar, Booker, Chuck, Nancy P., Joy Behar, and Oprah on our prayer list. Oh, you got that right. Hey, you're not going to get any objection from me out of that one. But look, there's a whole bunch of them we would need to have on the prayer list.
Oh, my.
But you know what we also have to do, Saints? And I'm very serious about this. We got to cast the devil out of these folks. I'm serious. We got to cast the devil out of these folks. Because, look, I really believe this. These people are demon-possessed. They are demon-possessed. They are controlled by the devil. They don't know it, but they are. Which is why they can say some of the things that you've heard them say. Here again, some famous comments of Obama.
Oh, he's going to give us some famous comments of Obama. Now, let's pay very close attention, because I'll tell you what. Now, he's about to quote our former president, Barack Obama. And boy, will I have egg on my face if I hear something that Obama had said that I didn't realize the first time I heard it, that it was actually the words of a demon who is possessing Barack Obama. How embarrassing would that be? Because I like to think that I'm a pretty observant person, that I'm a good judge of character, that I can figure this stuff out, but I may have missed something.
Well, if my daughter gets pregnant, I don't want her punished with a baby. What?
Did he say that? I don't know that he said that. I'm gonna have to fact check that. I don't know if you all are aware of this, but sometimes people say things or are quoted as saying things that it turns out they didn't actually say, or their words have been twisted in some way. For example, I think if you go on Google and you just type, like to do a Google search, if you just type "what Obama," the next, one of the first things that comes up is what did Obama? I'm sorry. What did Obama? One of the first things that comes up is what did Obama actually say? Because he's very often misquoted. All right, here's more.
The Bible says children are a blessing from the Lord. The fruit of the womb is his reward, and blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. That doesn't sound like a punishment to me.
What is fruit of the loom? What does underwear have to do with it? Maybe I misunderstood him.
But to him, it's a punishment. And going to the Human Rights Council, first president to ever speak before this homosexual group based in Washington, D.C.
No. Oh, my.
I guess they are probably the most powerful homosexual activist group in the country. And he went before them and said he was looking forward to the day when we would all admire same-sex relationships. We should admire them.
Oh, wow. Terribly demonic of him.
Now,
Wow.
the only person I can think of who can come up with that stuff is the devil. Because that's devilish.
Yeah, okay.
Why in the world would you admire same-sex relationships? I mean, nobody goes around talking about, well, let's admire heterosexual relationships. We don't think that. We don't talk that way.
Uh-huh.
We might admire strong marriages.
Right. Well, yeah, that's
okay.
the
Yeah,
wait,
we might
hang
admire.
Hang on. That's the point, dummy. If somebody has a good, in theory, unless you happen to be a raging homophobe, in theory, you should be able to admire a same-sex relationship the same way you would admire a heterosexual relationship if that happens to be a good, strong, healthy relationship. That's the whole point of what he was saying.
A strong family.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't look, they're heterosexual. Wow, isn't that wonderful? Isn't that we never talked like that or thought that way. But now suddenly we're being told by a president of the United States we ought to admire same-sex relationships. That's something. Oh, that's something to really be admired. I mean, that's demonic.
You don't have to. Actually, you don't have to admire that at all, buddy. You can just, mind your own business. No one's requiring you to admire anyone or anything. You can just kind of do your own thing. You know what I mean? Now, I am looking And maybe he did say, maybe Obama did actually say that. The first thing about didn't want his daughters punished with a baby. I think I found a clip here. Let's see. Because, but, you know, I wouldn't call that demonic. I would call that a poor, it is a poor choice of words, you know, and that's coming from someone who I am basically sort of tepidly in some ways, but I am basically pro-choice. And I think if Obama did say it that way, I mean, that's a poor choice of words. But let's see. I think I found the clip.
I've got two daughters, 9 years old and 6 years old. I'm going to teach them, first of all, about values and morals. But
just for the sake of context, this was now this was published in 2011, but it looks like this goes back to 2008. This clip from Jonestown, Pennsylvania, March 29th. A leap year. Oh, no, February would be a leap year. Never mind. March 29th, 2008. So this was when he was running for his first term as president. Okay.
If they make a mistake, I don't want them punished with a baby.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I will meet I almost can't believe I'm saying this. I will meet E.W. Jackson halfway on that. That was a horrendously poor choice of words. If my daughter makes a mistake, I don't want her punished with a baby. For a guy, Barack Obama was overall, even if you don't like him, come on, he was a pretty smooth talker overall. I think comported himself well, very, very well spoken, very smart guy. You don't get to be president of the Harvard Law Review by being a dummy, right? But that was a poor choice of words. By the way, it is interesting that not the only instance where I can think of him using a very poor choice of words when discussing an issue as delicate as abortion, because he was asked. Actually, let me see if I can find the. I know. Some of you are. I know what some of you are thinking right now. Matt, you were just mocking people who are always looking toward the past, and here you are looking toward the past. I know. Maybe I'm just nostalgic. Nostalgic for the days of. Let's see. The other thing I'm thinking of is. Let's see. Above. If I type in Obama above my pay grade, he said something else very indelicate in my view, and it did get used against him. Let's see. I think I have the clip here. Obama on abortion. I think I found it. Let's see.
At what point does a baby get human rights, in your view?
Well, you know, I think that whether you're looking at it from a theological perspective or a scientific perspective, answering that question with specificity, is above my pay grade.
Yeah, that was the other one I was thinking of. Not the best phrasing, and I totally get what he was saying. He was saying, you know, okay, so you're asking me when life begins. You know, from a theological perspective, that's ultimately up to God, right? And from a scientific perspective, you might want to ask a scientist. So I can't answer that question. Totally forgivable in my view. I'm not, trying to beat him up for it. I'm just saying, though, I couldn't help but be reminded that, with the other thing, with that particular issue, and it's a sensitive issue. I've probably said things that are, a little off kilter on that issue too. And it's an issue that I have my own mixed feelings about, actually. So I can get in over my head really quick on that. I will freely admit that. Hello to John Midas Manning, who joins us in the Facebook Live chat. DJ Midas, he also has a show here on WMNH, Late Night Delight, every Saturday and Sunday night from 12 midnight to 4 a.m. right here on WMNH. Anyway, so I wanted to share that news from rightwingwatch.org. I want to talk about, we'll go across the pond for a moment, as they say. I've been really interested in Brexit ever since the first vote, which was 2 years ago now. 2 years ago, they voted for the UK to leave the EU. And this still is, this whole thing is still dragging on, this negotiation for how to do this, because it's very cumbersome. You know, it was voted on by referendum. And some of the people who were particularly critical, first of all, it was one of those things where no one really expected it to happen, right? But one of the things that people who opposed Brexit were very critical of was they felt that some of what was driving the Brexit vote, you know, Britain leaving exit, that's how you get Brexit. I mean, not Britain leaving exit, that doesn't make sense, but Britain exiting the EU, that's what I meant. Those who were critical, many of those who were critical at the time said, not only is this a terrible idea economically, and many of them accurately predicting how cumbersome this would all end up being, but they also argued that a lot of it was driven by racism or xenophobia, which is really just, you know, racism light, because, you know, this was going to, if Britain were to exit the EU, that was going to restrict immigration much more severely. And today, Theresa May, Britain's current prime minister, is threatening to quit if she can't get this done. And then what happens if that happens? And I think there's a good chance of that actually happening. But we'll get more into that in a minute. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
I apologize.
Oh, my goodness. Well, if there's one person I know who loves to apologize, it's John Hopwood. How are you, sir?
I apologize.
What are you sorry about today?
I apologize.
Are you really live on the phone, or is this a soundboard?
I apologize.
Oh, okay. Yeah, anything in particular? He hangs up. Wow, he's very creative with the bits. All right, so here's what this is from Reuters. Britain's May offers to quit to get her Brexit deal over the line. British Prime Minister Theresa May said on Wednesday she would quit if her European Union divorce deal passes at the third attempt, making a last-ditch sacrifice to try to win over dozens of rebels within her Conservative Party. So in other words, she's not saying if it doesn't pass, I quit, I give up. What she's actually saying is, if you pass this, I'll quit. You know, so she's essentially offering to sacrifice herself and her own career as prime minister to get this done, because there's some people who would like to see her gone anyway. Says, while her departure would not alter the terms of that withdrawal agreement, it would give conservative Eurosceptics who have opposed it a greater say in negotiating the terms of Britain's future relationship with the EU. May's office said there would be a contest to replace her after May 22nd, assuming her plans get through Parliament, to provide new leadership for that next stage of Brexit. She told a meeting of Conservative lawmakers, quote, I have heard very clearly the mood of the parliamentary party. I know there is a desire for a new approach and new leadership in the second phase of the Brexit negotiations, and I won't stand in the way of that, unquote. May's announcement is the latest dramatic turn in the United Kingdom's 3-year Brexit crisis. Oh, it's been 3 years now. I'm sorry. Where does the time go? It's been 3 years of this. 3-year Brexit crisis, but it remains uncertain how, when, or even whether it will leave the EU. If May does go, she will become the fourth Conservative prime minister in a row to have fallen foul of divisions over Europe within her centuries-old party, following David Cameron, John Major, and Margaret Thatcher. David Cameron, of course, was who, when the Brexit vote went, in favor of Brexit, David Cameron said, well, I'm not the guy for this. I'm out. And that's how they got Theresa May. Many conservative rebels who want a cleaner break from the EU had made clear they would only consider supporting her agreement if she gave a firm commitment to resign. By the way, that seems like an incredible risk on her part. What if, what if, I'm just kind of thinking through here. What if they vote the way she wants, she resigns, and then they find a way to backtrack? Maybe I'm overthinking it. May had already promised to step down before the next election due in 2022, but by agreeing to go sooner, she increases the chances of her Brexit deal passing before the April 12 deadline. May said, quote, "I'm prepared to leave this job earlier than I intended in order to do what is right for our country and our party," unquote, said May, who voted to remain in the EU in the 2016 referendum, told the party meeting, according to extracts released by her office. By the way, that is that's something that's interesting to me, and I don't know a lot about British politics, but it's just kind of interesting to me that it's not as though she was in favor of Brexit. David Cameron certainly was not in favor of Brexit, and when the vote happened, he said, "Well, I'm not the one to shepherd us through this period because I don't agree with this to begin with." But she didn't agree with it either. So it's kind of interesting. Now, the other part to this that I just keep wondering about, is there a way to maybe just not do this? It's kind of like, let's look at it from sort of a business perspective. Like, what if, say you're running a business and you are going to, the business is going to split up somehow, right? Like, you are going to take your portion of that business and go your own way and kind of, do your own thing, be your own company. You decide to do that. And you have other people who work for you in the business who want you to do that, and they want to go with you, and you all agree that that's what you're going to do. But then you realize after 3 years, there's just no way to make this happen. But you keep trying to do it, even though you've begun to realize it's a bad idea, and you're just on a suicide mission. And the best thing to do at that point would be to just keep the business together. But instead of just keeping the business together, you decide to push forward with something you're going to regret. Like, is there a way out of this? Now, I understand it's tricky because it's the kind of thing where, well, the people have spoken, right? The people voted in referendum to do this. So you have to do it. But for 3 years now, for 3 years, this has been dragging on for, at least 2.5 years. I've been watching this wondering, isn't there some way they can have a do-over and just kind of say to the people, okay, just want to make sure you really want to do this, because we don't know if you all have noticed, but we're having a really hard time getting this done. Maybe when you voted on this, you didn't realize how complicated this would be, but from our perspective, this is really complicated because we're 3 years into this and we still can't get this done. So is there a way to have another referendum to just kind of say to the people, hey, are y'all sure about this? Because there was also, and I realize some of this might be spin from the anti-Brexit side, the same folks who are saying, well, this whole vote was driven by prejudice, by an anti-immigration attitude. There was also, and by the way, this happens with ballot referendum votes in our own country, where sometimes people aren't exactly necessarily 100% clear on what they're voting on. Sometimes, we don't really do referendums here in New Hampshire, but I've read many a story over the years of, our neighbors to the south, Massachusetts, they have a lot of referendum votes on things. And I've read on various votes over the years where, people are a little bit confused. Maybe the way the question is worded is a little bit unclear, and maybe some of the advertising that you see in media, vote no on question 1, and people are like, oh, okay, this ad makes a pretty convincing case, I'm going to vote no on question 1, and they don't realize that, the way that ad, which was obviously bought and paid for by someone with an agenda to get you to vote no on question 1, you actually should have probably voted yes on question 1, but you were confused and misdirected and so forth. That happens. So some were arguing that that's what happened with Brexit, that people voted in favor of Brexit without really understanding exactly what was going to happen, what was going to happen, what the repercussions would be, how it was going to affect them, what the economic consequences would be, and so on and so on. So I've just been wondering for at least 2.5 years now, is there a way to do a do-over without making everyone furious that you're doing? Because obviously the pro-Brexit people don't want to see that happen. They're going to be like, oh, you're going to do this. Oh, okay, we see what you're doing. You didn't get your way the first time, so now you're trying to manipulate the situation into getting your way the second time. So, and you know, I've been reading up a little bit on this. Is this possible? Because there doesn't seem to be a lot of optimism that that's one of the options. You know, there's all kinds of options in terms of how to get this done. Do they do a full break from the EU, or do they only do a partial separation but call it a full separation? How do they get around this? How do they get out of this? How do they call off this suicide mission that they're on that is probably completely unnecessary? So then I saw this. I saw this today, actually. This is, this is from yesterday. This is from late yesterday. BBC News, BBC.com has this article up. There's a petition to revoke Article 50 to be debated next week. Article 50 apparently is Brexit. There's a petition that is being circulated, which now at this moment has 5,761,055 signatures. So if you want to, if you're like me and you're bad at math and you want nice round numbers of 6 million, it's up to almost 6 million signatures to just call the whole thing off. It says the government has officially responded to the record-breaking petition calling for Brexit to be canceled, which will be debated by MPs next week. The petition, which has passed more than 6 million, it says passed more than 5.75 million signatures. I guess that's a round enough number. You got to remember, I'm the guy who failed college accounting the first time I took it, so I like nice, round, simple numbers. Honestly, and this is God's truth, I don't even know if I remember how to do long division, my friends. I really am not sure. I haven't had occasion to test it out. I'm not sure I can even still do it. So I like a nice, just call it 6 million. Signatures has been scheduled for debate on Monday, April 1st, along with 2 other Brexit petitions. Because they're looking at all these options. It's become kind of a multiple choice situation. Responding, the government said it, quote, acknowledges the considerable number of people who have signed it. But the government is also saying that revoking Article 50 would, quote, break the promises, unquote, made to voters, it said. The petition to the UK Parliament's website, started by retired lecturer Margaret. This is one of those names where, I'm sorry, but there are just too many vowels and not enough consonants. It's unacceptable. Why can't we have good, easy, simple American names for everything? Wouldn't that be easier? I mean, we are the world's last remaining superpower. Is it too much to ask that everyone just have nice, easy names like Smith or Jones or Papadopoulos, or just names that are easy for me to say? I'm just a simple man from New Hampshire. All right, I'll try it. Margaret George Giadow. I'm just going to say G. It starts with a G. Margaret G. That's what. So going forward, if her name pops up again in this article that I'm reading, if I say, actually, I'm going to go Maggie G because I like the way it sounds. We'll pretend she's a hip hop artist. That just makes the whole thing more fun. Okay. So the petition on the UK Parliament's website, started by legendary rapper and retired lecturer Maggie G, calls on the government to revoke Article 50, the 2-year process which is triggered when a country wants to leave the EU. That's where I got confused earlier. Again, I told you, numbers confuse me. The whole thing's been dragging on for 3 years. It's the process itself that is 2 years. So once they finally, like a decade from now or whenever it is, once they finally figured out how they're going to do this, it's then going to take another 2 years to actually do it. And by that time, probably 12 million people will have signed a petition saying, hey, couldn't help but notice this probably wasn't the best idea after all. Can we, just kind of put everything back? Okay. It is the most signed petition ever to be submitted on the website. Let's see. Retired lecturer and Grammy-nominated hip-hop artist Maggie G, age 77, I'm embellishing a little bit, responded to a date being set for the debate by calling for more signatures, adding, quote, "The battle draws nigh again," unquote. And then she went on to rhyme some things with that because that's, she's a hip-hop artist. Let's see. Any petition which gathers 100,000 signatures or more will be debated by MPs. On Tuesday, the Petitions Committee, which is in charge of considering the petitions submitted, announced that it has been scheduled to be debated in Westminster Hall at 16:30 GMT on Monday. GMT, that's Greenwich Mean Time, isn't it? Something like that. That also kind of sounds like a rapper, though. Like there's that fresh collab, Maggie G and GMT, on that fresh, hot new track or something. I think that's what the young people say now. Let's see. Debates will also take place on two other petitions. One, which has passed 120,000 signatures, calling to hold another EU referendum. There it is, another EU referendum to say never mind. We'll grab this call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
It's a chauffeur.
A chauffeur? You're not supposed to be here till 6.
Well, I'm at the airport.
Oh, well, who are you picking up? Are you picking up Maggie G and GMT?
I thought I was supposed to pick you up.
Yo, that's hype. Why would I be at the airport?
Am I being pranked?
Oh, No. The young people now, they say punked. You're being punked.
I thought punked was like the 1990s.
No. Punked is very, very today. Believe me, I know all the current lingo because I am a hep cat.
I got a call 15 minutes ago to be at the airport.
Well, what is the little sign that you have to hold up with the with the name on it written in black magic marker? What does that say?
Yeti.
You son of a... No. Look, my name is not Yeti, number one. Number two, no, I'm not at the airport. And you, sir, are a bigot. Making fun of my heritage. Again.
Well, why don't you Yetis invoke Article 50 or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Oh, believe me.
Go back to where you came from.
You.
Oh, here I am picking you up. What am I here for? To send you back?
Yeah, this is deeply offensive, hurtful, and cruel. I hope you're happy.
Why didn't you send me the script?
I didn't send you anything. That didn't come from me, you fool.
Scumpy.
I don't know. I think it was Q. I think it was Q. I think it was from the deep state.
What's this stuff about I was on a show with Q?
Well, you were on the phone.
I was?
Yeah, yesterday.
I can't even find my wallet.
You can't find your wallet, but you're at the airport to pick someone up? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I have the driver's license I used to have. What else are you going to do, right?
You really can't find your wallet? That's never a good feeling. But you kind of deserve it for your ethnic slurs.
There was a little, hullabaloo at the house last night.
Well, that sounds like a good story. A hullabaloo.
Calling. I got to go.
All right. A hullabaloo at the house. Wow, sounds like there's a story there. All right. So, it says here, so there's two other petitions. We're almost, it's already at the top of the hour. We'll take a break in a minute, but there's two other petitions. So the first one I mentioned, 120,000 signatures calling to hold another EU referendum, and another which has passed 140,000 signatures calls for the UK to leave the EU with or without a deal on the original Brexit date of March 29th. That sounds reckless. The committee said it decided to combine the three petitions into one single debate to ensure they were debated as soon as possible, quote, so they would be less likely to be overtaken by events, unquote. The UK had been due to leave the EU on Friday, but both sides have agreed to postpone Brexit until a later date to give the UK more time to either approve Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit withdrawal deal or decide its next steps. Mrs. May's deal, which she negotiated with the EU, has been rejected twice by Parliament. She is considering asking MPs to vote on it for a third time in the hope that enough of them have changed their minds to get it passed. If the MPs pass it, the UK will leave the EU on May 22nd with a deal. If it is not passed, the government has until April 12th to propose a different way toward the EU. A different way forward to the EU, rather. So there is more to this. If you want to, did I drop that into the Facebook live chat? Doesn't look like I did. So I will go ahead and drop that in there in case you wish to peruse that further. Let's see. Oh, hello in the Facebook live chat to, I see Ed Murphy in there. Hi, Ed. Matt DaCosta is in there as well. Brandon Belanger. And let's see. Christian Cunard says, hi, Matt. And it is a bit past the top of the hour. So I think what we'll do is we will take a break. And what do I want to play here? I had something else kind of ready to go earlier, but that computer froze up and I had to reboot it, and so I don't even remember what it was I was going to play. Maybe we'll do a little more hip hop. We'll play this Reaganomics song that I like. Should we do that? Yeah, because I haven't played that in a while, and I really, really like it. And then we'll come back and we'll do some more Matt Connarton Unleashed. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester. Don't forget, by the way, at 5:30 today, we do have a guest by phone. Dr. Dheeraj Raina will be joining us. And I don't know, and we'll see what other kind of trouble we can get into. In the meantime, we are live on WMNH 95.3. Don't go away, more to come.
Never told.
Crime after crime, from drugs to extortion.
See, it was written but was never told.
Making money, smoking mics like. Making money, smoking. Making money, smoking mics like.
It all stems from economics. That's breaking eggs to make some regular omelets. Reporting overdoses by rich kids who beg for comics while they parents marvel at the DC propaganda. With Nancy Reagan, LA's top commander. That's when Buster Douglas dropped the Vander Holyfield. There was a time that white America thought drugs only killed the black folks or made them some funny money. I ain't trying to crack jokes. Some addicts they serve could have jacked they Cadillac spokes and brohams. No after school programs. It's crazy how them snowgrams fun at hip hop and the park show jams. It's all Reaganomics.
See, it was written but was see, it was written but was never told.
Crime after crime, from drugs to extortion.
See, it was written but was never told.
Making money, smoking mics like.
Ronnie was a cowboy, California resident, governor, flipped this over, Hollywood actor turned president. To Republicans, he heaven sent. The war on drugs, immigrants, blacks, he just legalized the war on us. No coincidence, the CIA did this shit. Started private prisons, getting rich, ain't that about a devour you. That's what power do. County jail, Bob Barker name on the shower shoes. The price is right, but if you ain't white, the price is your life. Reaganomics, trickle down voodoo economics. Pay less but raise taxes. And they wonder why we slang.
See, it was written but was never told. Never told.
Crime after crime, from drugs to extortion.
See, it was written but was never told.
As a kid, so much toys to get that Sega cartridge. Yeah, I'd seal to make the profits. Many dream through gates and projects. I was born into Reaganomics, with Reagan's promise. Before Isaiah Thomas, this bird didn't pay him homage. Homeless stay impoverished, hope was pumped in veins with carnage. The soulless remain in office, controlling the brain of toddlers. EV playing, displaying the slaying. What remains from choppers, there's less of the training doctors and piano playing authors. For days we stay in slumber, still pray to tainted authors. Kids trained to gain and conquer, same age, they paint by numbers. When it rains, it thunders, false chiefs are gained above us. Now it's Trump who operates the cranes and pulls the strings of puppets. It's all Reaganomics.
Never told. Never told.
Crime after crime, from drugs to extortion.
See, it was written but was never told.
It was a beautiful time. A lot of youth will climb the great heights in the middle by using the mind to make dough. Scientists and mathematicians, mad ambitious with their pots, baggies, and dishes. New York, city breakers, Boston and the Lakers. Wanna stop there? How far you wanna take this? I run with the makers till this day. Still feel gloom when I think of the dismay. I saw through my own two eyes. In the glass is the sky. Mad innocent souls was just passing by. As a result of Reaganomics, that's when I made the promise to rap on the mic. You know what time it is.
See, it was written, but was never told.
Crime after crime, from drugs to extortion.
See, it was written, but was never told.
Making money, smoking mics like. Making money, smoking. Making money, smoking mics like.
Host Alex Jones.
It's Alex Jones.
Beck, boom, everywhere. Glenn Beck. Mark that spot. The plague lies there. The enemy. There's nothing worse. Little minion. This little gremlin. Beck's not even a goblin. He's a gremlin. Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck. And he sits there like he's always on a toilet. He has this little face like he's constipated. Glenn Beck sits there in a chair. He comes on. He's like, where's the spot where he looks like he's constipated on the screenshot? Like back at the beginning of the video. Because it's so funny how he acts all constipated. Here, I'm split screen. Here we go. This is what they came up with? Let's hear the creature that they dug up out of atheist, God-hating abortion radio. And let's hear what he has to say.
What is frightening to me is the lack of reaction from the crowd.
What's frightening to me, it's all calculated. He scripts with actors and hops around, big candy ass. I'm talking about Beck. I'm so scared. He's like, so everybody's supposed to be scared now. So dumb. Here it is.
What is frightening to me is...
Everyone hates you, but the dumbest people. Look how pathetic he feels. Like, ooh, we have the moral high ground. Here it is.
What is frightening to me is...
I'm sorry, back at the beginning. I mean, just because I want to see that constipated look again.
What is frightening to me is...
This is too sweet. See, he is such an arrogant piece of garbage. Let's finish the clip.
What is frightening to me...
You're a bad person. You're a bad person. You're a bad person. You're a bad person. Piece of trash, in my view. John, we're going to break here. When were you arrested? Okay, I get...
Come again?
Holy hell.
fun, a little Alex Jones for you. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, and on Comcast 97 in Manchester, New Hampshire. Streaming worldwide at WMNHradio.org. I was thinking about that. I have to say, the way that Alex Jones makes fun of Glenn Beck has always been kind of funny. Years ago, I remember when Glenn Beck was still on Fox, when he started getting really sort of conspiratorial. Some of you might remember, if you'd ever seen his show on Fox News, he had his big chalkboard, and he would draw out all this stuff and all these diagrams and all these flow charts proving that Barack Obama was the devil or so, whatever it was that Glenn Beck was trying to prove. And Alex Jones, I remember, started publicly criticizing Glenn Beck, saying, this guy stole my act. Except, well, he didn't phrase it quite that way. You know, he didn't say stole my act, but that seemed to be what he was basically saying. You know, he stole my gimmick. Well, I didn't say stole my gimmick, but he didn't use the word act or gimmick, but stole my journalistic approach. I don't know. But so he kind of, I have no idea how Glenn Beck feels about Alex Jones. I don't think I've ever heard Glenn Beck actually address Alex Jones. But Alex Jones is no fan of Glenn Beck. Felt that he was impeding on his on the Alex Jones market share. But, you know, as I've been saying for years now, we have seen a bit of a blurring of the lines between conservatism and conspiracy theorism. And I don't see that abating anytime soon. Hello to Peter White, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hi, Peter. I'll remind everybody, if you missed yesterday's show, Peter White was here for the full 2 hours, had a lot of fun. He hadn't been on with me in a while, but of course you can hear him every morning live on The Morning Show with Peter White from 7 to 9 a.m. right here at WMNH. And of course, if you miss it, just like any of the shows that are here, you can get the archive and listen on demand at your leisure at WMNHradio.org. All the shows are archived there for you. Don't forget, actually coming up in just a little bit, about 15 minutes, we'll be joined by Dr. Dheeraj Raina. Really looking forward to that discussion. A quick interesting thing here. This is from HuffPost. Florida man is in the news again. Yes, we do so love Florida man. What a man about town he is. He's always getting into some crazy hijinks. And I like when Florida man does things that are, shall we say, innovative, creative. You know, one of the things that I love about the United States is that we're truly an innovative country. And wait until you hear about this particular innovation. But we do have a call. We'll grab this first. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
You came from a speck of nothingness.
That sounds very familiar. I am having a flashback, my friends, to where John Hopwood was very insulting to the caller who called John Hopwood here on the show and told him he looked like an elderly baby, and John Hopwood responded with those exact words. That also sounds familiar. I think that was from the same conversation.
If you smoked, I mean, you know.
It's as though I have time traveled, my friends. It's as though I am. What was that last week? It's as though I'm. Was that last week or was it earlier this week? It's only Wednesday. I think it was last week that happened, right? I don't know. It's like we're
intelligence is electricity. This guy couldn't spark a firefly's ass.
Oh my goodness! Yes, John Hopwood did say that. Yes. It's as though it's like there's been a rip in the space-time continuum. Wow, I think that was only spoken once. Wow, that's I think.
Bring back Hopwood. Bring back Hopwood. We want Hopwood. We want Hopwood. Whoop 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 whoop.
You won't say. Oh, there we go, and he hung up. All right, I believe that was the gentleman with whom Hopwood got into it. He then called yesterday as well, and was very disappointed to see Sam Cedar John Hopwood's seat. Okay, so from HuffPost.com, Florida man faked a robbery so he wouldn't have to work at Hardee's. Like I said, I love innovation. I remember in high school, I worked at Bradley's department store, and I had a day or two that I didn't feel like going in. I tried to come up with some sort of excuse. Never occurred to me to fake a robbery, though. It says the Polk County Sheriff's deputies went to the supposed crime scene and quickly realized that a robbery never happened. Oh, my goodness. There's a picture of this gentleman, by the way. And he looks like an upstanding individual, I'll tell you. A real prize. I'm going to drop this article into the Facebook live chat for those of you who would like to peruse this. Let's see. Oh, Florida man. It says Dateline Dundee, Florida. Authorities say a Florida man didn't want to show up for his shift at a Hardee's restaurant, so he called 911 and reported he had just been robbed. WFTS-TV reports that 32-year-old Brian Anderson of Dundee told dispatchers Tuesday that two gun-carrying men took his necklace, money, and his phone before jumping into a car and driving away. Polk County Sheriff's deputies went to the scene and quickly realized that a robbery never happened. In a Facebook post, the agency said that Anderson confessed, adding that, quote, on the bright side, Brian didn't have to go to his 11 a.m. shift at the restaurant, unquote. Anderson is charged with misusing the 911 system and knowingly giving false information to law enforcement. Anderson is now being represented by the same legal team as that of a Mr. Jussie Smollett. All right, I added that last part. That wasn't true. That whole last sentence was made up. No, but like I said, I appreciate innovation, but you should not misuse the 911 system, of course. That should only be for real, actual crime, not you just didn't feel like going to work. I mean, for me personally, if I didn't feel like going to work, I'd probably just call up and say, yeah, I'm sick, or something like that. It never occurred to me to make up a robbery. I wonder how he got caught so easily. Did he forget to hide the items that he claimed were stolen? Maybe he was still wearing the very necklace that he claimed that the robbers had taken. I don't know. Let's see. We've got a few minutes yet before our guest. I was kind of interested. Actually, here, we'll do another quick thing. Some of you might not know this. Well, if you've traveled, you probably are aware that there are some states in our country where you cannot pump your own gas. Apparently, Oregon is one of them. And Oregon came up recently on the show. We had that gentleman, Alex, who called us live on the air from the state of Oregon. And I'm very conscious, by the way, of how I say Oregon now, because I used to say Oregon, but I've been corrected by various folks over the last couple of years. It's actually Oregon. So it's although if I just say Oregon, I've said it that way enough now that it sounds natural to me. But if I say Oregon Trail, that still doesn't sound natural to me. I still want to say Oregon Trail. I don't know why. But perhaps someday I'll get past it and I'll just be able to say Oregon in all instances of use of this particular proper noun. The Hit and Run blog at Reason.com says Oregon considers allowing grown adults the privilege of pumping their own gas. Yes. New Jersey is getting some well-deserved grief this week as a result of the state's anachronistic ban on motorists pumping their own gas. Yesterday, political news website Roll Call reported on how U.S. Representative Josh Gottheimer, Democrat of New Jersey, was forbidden from handling any nozzles during a day he spent working at a service station in his district, part of the congressman's periodic Josh on the job tactical gambit to attempt to look like a normal person. Thanks to a 1949 state law, only a gas station employee with 1 day's training and a signed certificate from a manager is able to gas up cars. Doing so without the proper qualifications could net one fines as high as $500. The prohibition on self-service and Gottheimer's insistence that it is something his constituents are eager to keep around, Jersey girls don't pump gas, the saying goes, attracted heaps of scorn on Twitter. Let's see. The mocking of the Garden State is likely to only get worse as Oregon, the only other state in the union to largely ban self-service, continues to liberalize its gas station regulations. This week, a bipartisan group of legislators in Oregon introduced a bill that would allow gas stations to designate up to 25% of their pumps as self-service. Up to 25%? Wow. Boy, don't rush into this, guys. Don't just go whole hog and do something you might. Maybe 5% of your pumps should be self-service to start. They're just rushing right in. Service stations with less than 4 pumps would be allowed to have one self-service pump. Even with that, I feel like they might be rushing into this. Maybe to start, like you have one pump that is self-service, but only between the times of 1 and 1:45 p.m. You don't just want to go hog wild. After a while, people are just going to expect to be pumping their own gas, And then it's like, and then what do? You'll have all these people going, hey, why can't we pump our own gas? And it's like you're looking at the time going, hey, it's 1:46 p.m. What do you want me to get fined? This could be a whole debacle. Let's see. The idea is to give those consumers crazy or brave enough to want to pump their own gas the option of doing so. Quote, providing the option for self-service would primarily help when pumps are very busy and attendants may not be able to keep up with the demand, said Representative Julie Fahey, Democrat of West Eugene, one of the chief sponsors of the self-service bill. She said this in an email, quote, having a self-service option would allow drivers who feel comfortable pumping their own gas to do so and get back on the road, unquote. Up until a few years ago, Oregon, like New Jersey, had a flat prohibition on self-service. This was often a major inconvenience for late-night motorists traveling through the rural eastern parts of the state, where gas stations often did not have an attendant present 24 hours a day. In 2015, the state legislature passed a law allowing gas stations in counties with less than 40,000 people to allow self-service between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. The change was broadened by a 2017 law that allows self-service at any time of day in those same counties. Now, Fahey and a small clutch of other legislators want to bring that self-service option statewide. Now we get to the part, because, to most of us, apparently, unless you're from New Jersey, to most of us, this would seem like a no-brainer, right? This should be simple. So now we'll get to the part where we hear about why some people oppose this. Okay, it says here, it's likely to be an uphill battle. Many Oregonians reacted less than heroically to the 2017 law, which went into effect in January of last year. Actually, let's grab this call because it could be our guest calling early. I don't want to miss him. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, this is Will.
This is who?
Will.
Hi, Will. What's on your mind?
How are you? Not much. Hopwood is on my mind.
Well,
Hopwood back on.
Hopwood is on all our minds. I've actually written a song about it called Hopwood on My Mind. And, it is kind of romantic.
Okay, sing it.
Well, I'm not going to sing it right now. I don't have any musical accompaniment. I need to bring in my acoustic guitar, and then I'll perform it. I'm going to perform it when he's here, and I'm going to give him roses. I'm secure enough in my masculinity, I can do all of that.
Okay. When is he going to be on?
It's art. Oh, I don't know. I got to find out. I don't think he's going to make it here today. Apparently, he's at the airport.
What's he doing at the airport?
What's he doing at the airport?
Yeah.
Well, he said he's picking up a Yeti, but he just said that to hurt my feelings. He's very offensive
a Yeti,
that way.
What's that mean?
Well, it's a reference to me because I'm a Yeti American.
Oh.
But my blood is still red, just like all of you.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
sure.
well.
I don't believe you.
Well, you don't have to believe me. You'll just have to trust me.
Okay. I love you, Matt.
Love you too, Will. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
You too. All right, but more importantly, we all love John Hopwood. Am I right? Yes. Let's see. Oh, phone's ringing again. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, it's Marcia from Ohio.
Marcia from Ohio. Hey, we just have a couple minutes before our guest calls. What can I do for you, Marcia from Ohio?
Hi, I'm part of Hopwood Toppers.
You are?
Yeah,
Wow.
bring Hopwood back.
We got a fan club going. By the way, do you pump your own
Hop,
gas?
hop, hop.
Hop, hop, hop. Yes, indeed. All right, Marcia from Ohio. Thank you for the call. All right. Wow, John Hopwood is, I feel like he's becoming, and I hope this doesn't go to his head like it has with Eric Gagnon. I feel like he's fast becoming a national sex symbol. Even in Ohio, they're clamoring for him. It is quite remarkable. What an amazing, he's probably listening to this right now going, wow, I'm really famous. It's amazing. And, let's be honest, he kind of owes it all to me. I mean, if it wasn't for me, Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, Matt. It's Jim. Not Big Jim, but
Okay.
Jim. And I want to say I'm a huge Hopwood fan, and I would like to serenade you, sir, for being such a big Hopwood fan. Oh, Hopwood, Hopwood, I love you so. Oh, Hopwood, Hopwood, please never let go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jim. That was beautiful. Take care. Well, that was nice. Now, that was not, and it is an important distinction to make. That was not Big Jim. That was Jim. But that was lovely. The only thing is, I don't think I can live up to it, so I'm probably not going to, that song I said that I was going to perform on the air at some future point, Hopwood on My Mind. I'm probably not going to do that now because I don't think I can do anything better than what Jim just did. I mean, that was lovely, and I dare say it warmed the cockles of my heart. And I don't even know what that expression means. It's quite baffling, actually. I don't know what cockles are. I hope it's okay to even say that on the air, because I literally don't know. I mean, I know what it sounds like, but it can't possibly be that. That wouldn't even make sense, because why would you have that in your heart, if you know what I mean? Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hi, this is Dheeraj Raina, man.
Hey, how you doing? I'm glad it's you. You're right on time. We've gotten quite a few calls in the last few minutes, so welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Absolutely. So I know that you wanted to come on. I mean, we can talk about a number of different things, but your wife, your late wife, Uzma, I was thinking of a different name there. Uzma Yunus. I was trying to think of her last name. Am I saying her last name correctly? Yunus?
Yes, you are, Matt.
Okay.
Thank you.
She had written a book which is out and available. It has come out, right? It's already been released?
Yes, it was released on November 1st, 2018.
Okay. And can you tell us a bit about Uma's book? I know that it's called Left Boob Gone Rogue. And her struggle with breast cancer, but can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. So, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on the show, and I want to mention that if Uzma were alive, she would be on the show today. Today is her birthday, and she would have wanted to do this herself and talk about her book herself.
Of course.
So I'm here talking about it in her place. And this is not her book is called Left Boob Gone Rogue, My Life with Breast Cancer. And it's not, the first cancer memoir that anybody has ever written, nor is it the first one that was ever written by a physician. But I think what is unique about her book is that it it is able, in her experience, she uses her experience as a psychiatrist to keenly observe the emotional experience of cancer and describe it in a way that few people have been able to describe it. And this was one of the things that that many people, first of all, people who are survivors of cancer, not just breast cancer, but cancer survivors, have said that they feel like it describes their emotions better than they've heard it described or read it described anywhere else. And then I've also had family members of cancer survivors who said that, reading this book, they have felt that they finally understood what their loved one went through when they were suffering from cancer and through treatment. And that's the unique thing about the book, in my view, and in the view of many of our readers, is that it does an amazing job of blending different perspectives and giving the perspective of the patient and explaining the patient's emotions, and makes them feel as if they're right there with her.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like it helps, people feel like they're not alone. I mean, obviously cancer is something that's, very, very common, very prevalent, but, it must be, I mean, I would assume that the book probably not only provides, some comfort and perspective, but maybe even some practical advice about how to deal with this experience emotionally, and how to, how to stay optimistic, and how to keep going, and all of that, how to try to push through it, and how to deal with, if it's not going well. I mean, I assume that's kind of all in there. I'm not articulating it all that well because it's a difficult thing to talk about, but I assume that that's all kind of in the mix in terms of what people find so helpful about a book like this.
Actually, what is interesting about her book is I think it gives all of that advice through example rather than through concrete sort of, advice or counseling people.
Okay.
And in fact, what is interesting is about 2 or maybe 3 weeks before she passed away, she had spoken to her editor, who had helped her edit this book, and told her that she wanted to write her second book, and that it was going to be about practical, concrete advice about how to, deal with cancer emotionally, the emotional aspects of cancer survivors. And of course, we knew that at that time she was already in hospice. We knew that was not going to happen, but she was prepared to do that if she were to survive.
Okay.
But this book does not actually do that concrete step-by-step advice. It's more of basically giving people an example of how one can truly deal with reality on reality's terms regarding one's cancer and one's mortality, and at the same time live life fully.
Right.
And that's what it does.
Hello to Timothy Paul, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. And then Jenny made a comment, regarding my saying, people being able to read the book and feel like they're not alone. She said, not only not alone, but not crazy either. Because I would imagine, I mean, the emotions one goes through, must be, and I mean, not only for the person diagnosed, but for the people around that individual who love that person, obviously, and care, but obviously, especially for the person who's diagnosed with this. I mean, it must be quite the roller coaster of emotions, and a lot to kind of manage. Emotions can be difficult to manage anyway, but something like this, and the struggling with one's own mortality and all that. I mean, that's got to be very, very difficult.
It is, Matt, and the other thing that cancer survivorship does, or dealing with cancer, whether you survive it or that you're going to die from it, either way, it sort of zooms in the lens of your life, and suddenly you don't, it narrows your focus. And it keeps doing that repeatedly, and it narrows your focus to your mortality, and zooms in. You think about your mortality immediately as soon as somebody's told that they have cancer. I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, it's not, and I think that's something that happened with Uzma right away when she was first diagnosed with cancer, and it acts, and then she. Even when her cancer was in remission, I mean, that was something that never really completely left her. This concern about what's going to happen, how long do I have? And in fact, today I had, I was looking at one of her blog posts. She had a blog by the same name, Left Boob Gone Rogue, at her URL, uzmamd.com. And she had and she used to contribute to Huffington Post and had one contribution to New York Times as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she wrote a blog about it in December 2015 about, what does it, what does time, what do birthdays mean, and how, time does not capture, measuring time does not capture, the weight of one's life that one has lived.
Right.
And so I think that's something that she thought about even when her cancer was in remission.
Wow. Yeah. No, I can imagine. You mentioned her blog. Is that? I mean, how many? Do you know? I mean, I imagine she was very prolific. Obviously, she was a writer. Do you know how many blog posts that she did for that blog? I mean, I would think it's probably quite a few.
She did quite a few. I think she did about 150 blog posts. Hold on, I know 100. On her blog before she passed away, she added me as an admin. So I've done some posts related to our experience of cancer since she passed away. But she probably did so her blog posts are total like 170 published posts.
Oh, no kidding! Wow.
She didn't write many blog posts in her final year.
Okay.
In 2018, she didn't write a lot because she was so focused on finishing her book and getting it in print that she didn't write many blog posts in 2018. But before that, she had written quite a few.
Wow. Okay. Now, in terms of, do you have children with Uzma?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have two kids. One of them, and both of them are young. One of them is 8, and the other is almost 12.
Oh, that's got to be hard. Yeah, I mean, it's when you, I'm in my mid 40s, and I still have both my parents, and it's difficult to imagine what what you all must be going through. But for your kids to to lose a parent so young, that's got to be really hard. I'm not trying to get maudlin on you. I'm a very empathetic person, and I think about what other people are going through, and I can't help but kind of feel that
it is hard. But at the same time, I think this is the thing that Uzma used to she made some tough decisions. When she got diagnosed with recurrence in 2016, she decided right away that there was no way that she was going to continue working.
Okay.
Because she said she felt like when she had the recurrence diagnosis and it was metastatic, it had already spread to her liver.
Ooh.
She decided that she doesn't know how much time she has, and the best thing to do is to focus her energies on her kids and our family, and so that's what she did. And I think in the time that she had, again, going back to when our oldest was born, she immediately went to part-time work. And so she really focused on giving them the most that she could give throughout this time, and trying to make them as resilient as they could be, as one can. And so I think that helps.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it is tough to lose a parent when you're that young. But hopefully some of the things that she has taught us will help us overcome her loss in the long run.
Yeah. Jenny is asking in the Facebook live chat, what are the future plans for the book? She did mention it's currently available on Amazon, correct?
Yes, it is currently available on Amazon. If you search Left Boob Gone Rogue, My Life with Breast Cancer, or you search by Uzma Yunus, Yunus is spelled as Y-U-N-U-S, it will show up. And it's available as both a paperback and also as a Kindle edition. The only thing with the Kindle edition is that it's not available to read on a Kindle. I didn't learn this until I had put it up on as a Kindle edition. It's available to read on Kindle app on any smartphone or tablet. So one can read it on the Kindle app on your iPhone, Android phone, iPad, or any Android tablet. But it's available in those two editions. And if you wanted to quickly just go to that page, you could just go to a short URL called bit.ly.com/Uzma book, and it will take you there to the Amazon page.
Oh, okay, excellent. Did she have other published books prior to this, or was she more of a blogger?
No, she didn't. She didn't. She just had her blog.
Okay.
And as I said, she had plans for a second book.
Yeah.
But she mostly had her blog. She wrote quite a few posts for Huffington Post, and she had one post that was accepted on New York Times on their NewYorkTimes.com, had a Faces of Breast Cancer feature.
Oh, okay.
Back in I think 2017, and she submitted for that, and it was what she called letter to rogue cancer cells.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But that was the other thing. That's the other thing about Uzma's book is, it's not all. It's written in a manner that uses wit and humor. She was a very humorous and witty person, and very extremely sharp cookie.
Yeah.
And it uses wit and humor throughout the book to communicate a very difficult subject in a manner that people can relate to. And I think that's part of what causes people to have the very good response to this book, is because it's not just grim, this happened and I got chemotherapy after that and then this happened. So she really does use humor to good effect.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and that's cool too. I mean, that's sort of entitled by implied by the title, "Left Boob Gone Rogue." That she had a good wit about her. Yeah. Jenny in the Facebook live chat says she was a Ford model of courage. Oh, tell me about that.
Yes.
What's that?
Ford has a program called Warriors in Pink, and where they select from different regions in the country. They select women to be Ford models of courage, and she was selected from the Midwest. I don't know who nominated her, but somebody nominated her, and she was selected as a Ford model of courage. Now what they do is they basically these women are not really paid anything by Ford, but what happens is they are given materials to help do breast cancer advocacy and support other women. So they are encouraged to do that. And occasionally, the Ford will, the program would host or support or sponsor certain activities with breast cancer advocacy, other activities, and they would get a chance to speak there about breast cancer advocacy.
Oh, okay. No, that's very cool. And Jenny said too she was an Ulta model. I don't know what that means.
Yes. Ulta makeup, Ulta beauty. She. Oh,
okay.
She did. Every year in October, I believe, Ulta Beauty does a promotion where certain things that are labeled a certain way in their stores, they donate a percentage of that or something to Breast Cancer Research Foundation, and they do an advertising campaign around that And in 2017, she was one of the models who was in their video for breast cancer advocacy.
Oh wow!
And about their breast cancer campaign. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Very cool. Now you had mentioned you have some blog posts as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I do on her blog. Yeah.
Okay. And are you doing any other writing, or have you written anything? Have you written any books or?
No, I have not written any books. I do write some blog posts about addiction, but that's something that we can talk another time about that. I'll be happy to.
Yeah. I do want to have you back in the future to talk about that, because that's obviously a big topic, especially in some areas it's worse than others. The heroin addiction specifically, but that's certainly a big issue here where I am in Manchester. Where are you from?
I'm in the Chicago area.
Chicago, okay, yeah, great city. I used to spend the summers out there when I was a kid, because when my parents divorced, my mother, who was originally from Chicago, moved back there, and then so at the beginning of every summer, my dad would put me on a plane, and I would fly out to Chicago for the summer. So now my mom lives in Wisconsin, so she's not in the Windy City anymore. But no, that is a great place. I really love it out there. So no, good for you.
I tell people you can't imagine how great Chicago is. You just have to imagine that 8 million people live here despite the winters here.
Yeah. You guys do have some harsh. See, I've never been there in the winter, only in the summertime. But I know that
right.
You get those Arctic blasts and all that craziness, right. And oh yeah, we don't quite have any of that here, which is nice. Well, Dr. Raina, I don't want to keep you too long, and we're gonna run out of show. I don't want to get cut off, but I do want to have you back in the future. Maybe you can kind of update us on what's happening with the book, and of course we can talk about the other subject that we just mentioned as well, because I'd love to have an extended conversation with you about that. But please let us all know where to go. Where's the best place to go online to find Uzma's book and her blog and all of that, and anything else that you want us to know about, please.
Sure. So Uzma's blog is at www.uzmamd.com. So that's where her blog is.
Okay.
And you can also, if you search by her name on Huffington Post, you will also find posts there. So Uzma, UZMA, last name Yunus, YUNUS. And some of those posts are not on her blog, and they're not in her book. Some of them are unique to Huffington Post.
Okay.
And again, if you search by her name, you will also find her one article that got published on NewYorkTimes.com. And then her book is on Amazon only right now.
Okay.
I am in the process of trying to get her book published through mainstream publishing. Her goal was to get it published through mainstream publishing, because that way then, it gets to the widest audience possible.
Right.
But, it shows up in bookstores and stuff. It's not really in bookstores unless some bookstores have bought it and and I wouldn't know about that. But it's not really in bookstores right now. It's only on Amazon. And it's called Left Boob Gone Rogue: My Life with Breast Cancer by Uzma Yunus.
All right, very good. And Jenny did share some of that information too in the Facebook live chat for our listeners online on Facebook. The link to the website and spelled out Uma's name, and Left Boob Gone Rogue, available in Kindle and softcover on Amazon. Very good, very good. And and we'll share that out again too when we share this out on social media. This conversation. So, Dr. Dheeraj Raina, did I get the name right?
Yes,
I did.
You got
okay,
it right.
Well,
thank you. You got it right.
I will disclose to the audience I cheated a little bit because we talked earlier before the show to make sure I knew how to say it. All right, but thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to talking with you again in the future. But I really do appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Matt, for having me once again.
Oh, you got it anytime. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. There you go. Well, that was, that was a great, a great discussion. It was nice to talk to him. That's the first time he and I have ever talked at length, but, we talked briefly earlier. Like I said, Jenny put me on the phone with him so I could ask him, how exactly do you say your name? But there you go. And like I said, when we share this out later, we'll also share out links, all those links. So if you're in your vehicle traveling home from work or whatever it may be, and you're not on Facebook at the moment, we'll make sure you can get access to that, to all of that. So definitely recommend that. Let's see. We have just a couple minutes left before we got to get out of here. There is a story. Part of this is purely selfish on my part because I enjoy saying his name. Speaking of names, George Papadopoulos. I just think that's fun. He came up, he showed up back in the news, Salon.com reporting former Trump campaign aide George Papadopoulos formally asks for a presidential pardon. And part of why that's so interesting, and Papadopoulos, by the way, if I remember correctly, he was the guy that Trump said, never heard of him really. I think he was the coffee boy or something. Completely inconsequential to my campaign. But he did plead guilty to the FBI as part of Mueller's probe, and he served a whopping 12-day prison sentence. So I don't know what he did that only got him 12 days. Maybe he spilled the coffee or something, and you're not supposed to spill coffee in a government building. I don't know how that works. No, I'm kidding. This was, of course, during the campaign that would have happened. But it says here, George Papadopoulos, the former campaign foreign policy advisor to President Donald Trump, who pleaded guilty to making false statements to the FBI. Remember, kids, that is frowned upon. You cannot make false statements to the FBI, no matter what Michael Flynn tries to tell you. Because remember, Michael Flynn said, it's not my fault I lied to the FBI. They forgot to remind me that you can't do that. Anyway, Papadopoulos revealed that his legal team has formally asked for a presidential pardon. He said, quote, I have no expectations for it. I know my lawyers have formally applied for one. If I'm granted one, it would be a tremendous honor. And of course, I would accept it, unquote. Papadopoulos told Fox News yesterday. A tremendous honor to receive a pardon. He's already served his prison sentence, but if he's pardoned, how does that work exactly? So once you're pardoned, is it expunged from your record? I don't know how that works, now that I'm thinking about it. Papadopoulos pleaded guilty to lying to investigators as part of Mueller's probe and served a 12-day prison sentence last year. Host Martha McCallum asked him on Fox, quote, you already spent 12 days in federal prison, which I'm sure was not a picnic, but I'm sure you'd like to have that off your record, unquote. Oh, so this answers my question. And then Papadopoulos said, quote, yeah, I would. I mean, I definitely would. It would be nice to move on with my life. And my wife would certainly like to kind of forget this entire chapter and get this behind us. Well, that's all perfectly reasonable to want that. But the larger question this raises, and there's more here, but we're going to run out of time in a minute. But the larger question that is raised here is, will Trump, now that the Mueller probe is sort of for the most part behind him, right? There are still some unanswered questions, and are we going to get to see the report, and how redacted will it be, and how much executive privilege will the Trump administration use in terms of redacting it and doing some editing before anything is released or before it's given to Congress and so forth, right? At some point soon, probably be smart to wait till his second term, if he wins a second term, to be honest. At what point do we begin to see some pardons? At what point does he begin to, because, he still speaks very glowingly of Paul Manafort, even though Manafort apparently stole millions of dollars along with his literal partner in crime, Rick Gates. At some point, does Trump pardon Manafort? He's spoken very glowingly of him. He has spoken very ill of Michael Cohen, so we know Michael Cohen's not getting a pardon, but Manafort just might. And, will he pardon Papadopoulos? Plus, it's kind of fun to say pardon Papadopoulos. I like alliteration as much as anyone. Let's see. You know what? We'll leave it at that for this story, although I will drop the link to it in the Facebook live chat really quickly, but we are going to run out of time. So that will do it today for Matt Connarton Unleashed again. Thank you to Dr. Dheeraj Raina for calling in. Really enjoyed that discussion about, talking about his late wife's book, which is available now, Left Boob Gone Rogue. It is on Amazon. And, we'll have him by Dr. Uzma Yunus, and we'll have actually the full title. I should get the full title in. Left Boob Gone Rogue, My Life with Breast Cancer by Dr. Uzma Yunus. And that is currently available. And like I said, we'll have him back. He's an addictions specialist, so that's a whole subject in itself. So we'll have him back to do that. So thank you to him for calling. Thank you to everybody in the Facebook live chat. Of course, thank you to John Hopwood for calling briefly, and thank you to the apparently the John Hopwood fan club. Oh, Christian Cunard in the Facebook live chat says, awesome show. Thank you so much, Christian. And if you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org, where we do archive all the shows. And I'll be back tomorrow with more Matt Connarton Unleashed. Oh, really quickly, too, by the way, Friday, making his triumphant return because he hasn't been on with me in quite some time, Dr. John D. Rich Jr. will be calling in and joining us, and we'll get an update on what's been going on with him. So that will be on Friday's show, and but I'll be back tomorrow. And that's it for me for now. I'll talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
IPMNation.com.